Have you ever noticed when we feel low and dejected, we need something or someone to avoid the state of mind? We avoid pain and unpleasant feelings and seek pleasure to replace the unpleasant emotions. In psychological language, this is called the pleasure principle. We see this human behavior in some poems by Kamala. For example, in My Mother at 66, the poet tries to avoid the feeling of separation from her old mother. In A Hot Noon in Malabar, she recalls a hot summer day in Malabar because her present is not pleasant. Similarly, in My Grandmother's House, she longs to be in the grandmother's house or the Nalapat house. But why is she escaping from reality? To find out, we need to explore the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem, My Grandmother's House, is the theme of escape. If you have watched the previous video, you might have noticed that the poet desperately wants to visit her grandmother's house. Based on the pleasure principle, we can assert that something is going wrong in her life. The line, I who have lost my way, in the poem is its proof. To explore further, we will refer to her autobiography, My Story. The reasons are, first, the poem, like most of her poems, is autobiographical. Second, it is her autobiography. Third, thus frankly reveals in the autobiography the problem that she has experienced in her married life. Her married life was pathetic. For instance, thus mentions in My Story that her workaholic husband often had to stay away from her. Even if he is with her, there is no emotional connection. She writes, if at all I began to talk of my unhappiness, he changed the topic immediately and walked away. She also tells, I yearned for a kind word, a glance in my direction. He is indifferent when she needs companionship for her emotional stability. So she needs intimacy, warmth, care, and commitment in her life. In fact, this is love. Unfortunately, she does not find love the way she needs in her married life. The lines below suggest her need for love. There is a house now, far away from where once I received love. Towards the end of the poem, she repeats, you cannot believe, darling, can you, that I lived in such a house and was proud and loved, I who have lost my way and beg now at strangers' doors to receive love, at least in a small change. The emphasis on the word love repeatedly in the poem suggests the love she has received in her grandmother's house is now missing in her life. Unlike her past, her present is distressing. After encountering unpleasant experiences, it is obvious for a human being to escape from reality. The avenues could differ from person to person, but all we do is escape. In her case, she wants to be at her grandmother's house. Since she is far away from her grandmother's house, she reminisces about her halcyon days. She wants to visit there because she associates her sweet memories with her grandmother's house. Her grandmother loved her immensely. She mentions in her autobiography, none had loved me as deeply as my grandmother. She feels blessed to have her in her life. Unfortunately, after her death, there is no one to care for her. She feels lonely. Therefore, she wants to fill up the void within her. As a result, she often thinks of visiting the house. Similarly, in A Hot Noon in Malabar, the poet also laments that the house is far away from her house and has a wish to visit Malabar. She wants to be in Malabar because her present life is unsatisfactory. If you want to read about the poem, the link is in the description below. In the poem, the poet wants to visit her grandmother's house because her memories of her grandmother's house can make her forget her depressing state. She likes to peep through the dusty windows or listen to the frozen air in the house. Or in desperation, she wants to bring a handful of darkness from the house to her room. She likes to lie like a brooding dog because the dark and empty house gives solace to her empty heart. It probably suggests that she wants to go there to revive her memories and live with those memories. In this way, her quest for love pushes her to beg strangers for love, at least for little love. You could think she could have divorced her husband. In this context, she reveals in her autobiography, "I could not admit to all my marriage had flopped." She's afraid of breaking the strong bond between the two families. Moreover, her family would be concerned about the public reaction. She neither could marry someone, nor get a job, nor offer a life of prostitution. Therefore, she says, "I was a misfit everywhere." In conclusion, it is clear why she tries to escape and eventually begs at strangers' doors.